Today we are just reviewing 3-digit by 2-digit multiplication.
Is this journal going to be for the whole year? Because I feel like...
I know, we're filling it up, but we should be okay. We should be okay. I think. All right. Today, we are reviewing 3-digit by 2-digit multiplication, whole numbers only. When we get into decimals, now I know we're not multiplying decimals right now, but when we get into decimals, and we've already seen it a little bit when we did like decimals and percents. Remember, percents are always out of 100. So when I change a decimal to a percent, I move the decimal how many places? 2. And I move to the
left.
Right, because decimal is DP. Remember, my favorite drink, Dr. Pepper. I move from left to right. So this same step, this same thing that you see at the top of the board, where it talks about my multiples of tens. So multiply by 10, we move the decimal point 1 place to the right. So we're going to move the decimal point to the right 1 place. I wanted to make sure I wrote that correctly. If I multiply a number by 100, and again, these are decimals, okay? So it should be just as simple as moving that decimal point to the right. So if I'm multiplying it by 100, I'm going to move it to the right 2 places. And if I multiply a number by 1,000, I'm going to move that decimal point to the right 3 places. And notice that the number of places that I move it matches the number of zeros in that number. So when you're working with the base 10 system or the metric system, because metric system in science is also base 10 system, it's literally as simple as moving your decimal point to the right or to the left if I was dividing by those multiples of 10. Okay, let's go back and just focus on whole numbers. So there are 2 ways that I'm showing you today. There's more than that. There's other ways that you can multiply numbers. You're going to see the way on the left, expanded notation form, and you're going to be like, why on earth, Mrs. Watson, would I ever want to do that? I'm not telling you need to, but I want you to understand the breakdown of multiplication because I think that the math behind it is important. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is look at that expanded notation form. So what that means is I'm breaking apart 632 and showing the value of each of the digits. So I have 600 plus 600 plus 30 plus 2. And then I'm going to multiply it by 40 plus 9. So instead of doing 9 times 2 like we typically do, and then 9 times 3 and 9 times 6, I'm going to multiply the actual value of those digits in my original number. So I'm going to start with my ones place. I'm going to do 9 times 2, which is 18. Then I take that 9 in the ones place, and I multiply it by the tens place, which is really representing 9 times 30, which is 270. Then I'm going to take that 9 again in the ones place, and this time I'm going to multiply it by the hundreds place. So that's really going to be 9 times 600, which is 5,400. So this is like what we're doing. This is the math behind it. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to my tens digit. So I'm going to do the 40 this time. I'm going to do 40 times the ones digit. So 40 times 2 is 80. And then I'll take the 40 times the tens digit, which is 30, and that is equal to 1,200. And then I'm going to take the 40 in the tens place and multiply it by the 600. And that's going to be 24,000. Okay, now all of these numbers are something that we call partial products. So right here, we're going to add the partial products. So I would add all of those partial products together, and I'm going to save time and just tell you it is 30,968. Now, again, I know you're sitting here like, I'm never going to do that because that takes way too long. But I want you to understand why our partial products end up what they are whenever we do it in the standard algorithm. Now, what is algorithm? Do y'all remember what that means?
No. Nobody ever told us.
Up here on the math vocab board, I have algorithm up there by the A's, and it says it's just basically a step-by-step way to solve a problem. So you look at steps. Standard algorithm, step 1, step 2, step 3. It's the step-by-step way on how to solve a problem. So the first thing it says to do is grid your numbers. Do I expect to see grid lines on all of your papers? No, but if you tend to write kind of sloppy, or you know that sometimes it's hard for yourself to read your own words and numbers, then you might want to consider drawing yourself grid lines, because if you tend to get slanted in your work, you start to get confused as far as what numbers are supposed to be lined up with what. So, number 1. Grid your numbers. Number 2, you're going to multiply the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. What do I mean? I'm going to start here. I'm going to multiply that 1 digit, the number in the ones place, by the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to do 9 times 2, which is 18. 9 times 3 is 27, plus the 1 that I carried. And then 9 times 6 is 54, plus the 2, 56. Okay, now the next part says number 3, remember Zero the hero.
Oh yeah, I remember that. He's my best friend.
Zero the hero is my best friend too.
Boo.
And somebody earlier today asked me why I put a slash through my zeros. I only put slashes through the zeros that are my placeholders.
Oh,
I don't put
wow.
it through a regular zero because I want to know that it's representing something. It's
I do
holding the
that
place of
too.
something.
Sometimes.
So my zero the heroes always have a slash through them. So once I put that down, now I can go ahead and multiply the 4 times all of my top numbers. Hold on. So I'm going to do 4 times 2, which is 8. 4 times 3, which is 12, carry the 1. And 4 times 6 is 24, plus the 1, which is 25. So now I can add, what are these each called? The red and the blue number are called what?
Partial.
Yes. Now I'm going to add them.
Unless you.
Oh, can I say the answer?
39 times. 68. I already finished.
And it should be the same thing. It should match the same number as we got on the
I
left.
got the white.
Okay. Then it says, check your work. If I wanted to check my work, I could always divide. I could take the product divided by 49, and I should end up with 632. You just work backwards in reverse. Okay, over here off to the side, it says partial products use patterns of zeros
That's cool.
to find the product of multiples of 10. So multiples of 10, if you think about multiples of 10, if you think about multiples of 10, those are numbers that end in 0. Partial products use patterns of zeros.
Why does it say
So when you're looking at all of these things here, this is what it's talking about right up here. Okay? All right, so now we're going to try another. So you have 703 times 56. This time I'm going to let you do it on your own, and then we're going to check it. So you work that.
Miss Watson, is that a 10 or a 10?
All right, here is your answer. It is 39,368. Turn the page, please. Turn the page.
Wait, what's the answer again?
All right. We are moving on to the guided practice. I need everybody's attention in 3, 2, and 1. Okay. We are going to use our cubes method. If you notice up to the left of the board up there in the fluffy tan stuff, it says cubes. So we are going to practice using this method to problem solve. Because a large part of math is not just knowing how to do the math, but it's understanding what we need to figure out a lot of times. So we're going to start out by circling our numbers. I'm going to circle 163. Okay, all the sound effects and talking, please stop in 3, 2, and 1. No more talking, please. That way we can get through and you don't have homework. Each storage unit at a dairy farm holds 163 gallons of milk. How many gallons of milk can be held by 47 storage units? Okay, so I've already circled my numbers. I'm going to underline my question. If I do, you do. If I circle, you circle. If I underline, you underline. If I box, you box. If I write, you write. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is box keywords. That's the B in the word cube. C, circle the numbers. U, underline the question. B, box keywords. I see unit, more units. Unit means what?
How much of them? 8. It's like
Each storage unit. That is what? How many? One. Okay. So 1 unit holds 163 gallons. How many gallons can be held by? It gives me more than just 1 unit. It tells me 47 units. So that means I've got to multiply. I've got to do 163 times 47.
And we just multiply it the way.
And you just multiply whatever way you like to multiply.
Good.
That one should be C. And I'm going to let you and your table figure out 2 and 3, and then we're going to check
have
those
to
last
underline 2
two
and 3?
together. You need to practice. Circle your numbers, underline the question, box keywords. If there is extra information, eliminate the extra information and then solve the problem. Your answers are on the board. So number 2 should have been, I have a lot of talking. Number 2 should have been D, 1,050. Number 3 is A, 18,424. Are there any questions today?
no.
Okay.